Hey guys, how are you doing? Anthropic just released Claude Opus 4.7, and the message here is very clear. The competition is no longer about who gives the best answers, it's about who can keep working the longest without breaking down. The new model arrives with a total focus on long tasks, agents, and continuous execution, aiming directly at the territory where OpenAI and Google have been advancing with ChatGPT and Gemini. In practice, this means fewer errors along the way, more consistency in large projects, and a step closer to IS that actually carry out complete tasks from start to finish. And the most curious detail is that this still isn't the company's most powerful model, which raises an obvious question about how far this will scale. Now guys, have you noticed that things are getting more and more competitive? So, to not miss anything, subscribe to the channel and go ahead and leave a like on the video, because then YouTube understands that the content is relevant and shares it with more people. Deal? So, let's get to the video. Well guys, today I want to share with you the launch from Anthropic, the Claude Opus 4.7, which they are saying here is our most capable Opus model so far. It handles long-duration tasks more rigorously, follows instructions with greater accuracy, and checks its own outputs before reporting. So, you can delegate your hardest work with less supervision. They put a benchmark here where we can see that actually Opus 4.7 is an update of 4.6. There's nothing really major here compared to the previous model. And in some areas, it even loses here to GPT 5.4 in this agentic search, which is one of the benchmarks used here to test each model's capability. Most of the time, it comes in first place. But if we compare it with that closed model, Mythos Preview, which was announced some time ago, then it falls way behind. This model here, Mythos, is still not available to everyone. Only a select group of testers has access to this new model, but in this comparison here, you can see that Opus 4.7 is a worse model than Mythos, which is not commercially available, only for testers. Moving on here to the blog presenting Claude Opus 4.7, they show here the same comparisons that I just showed. And one interesting thing is about the API price for this new model. Opus 4.7 is already available in all cloud products and in our API. Amazon Bedrock, Google Cloud's Vertex AI, and Microsoft Foundry. The price remains the same as Opus 4.6 $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output tokens. But there's a catch here. Why? Because they updated the tokenizer. So, some people went to X because they tested it, and apparently even though the API price is the same here, this model consumes more. Check out this post here from Jun Song. Opus 4.7 token test. Due to the difference in the tokenizer, it uses twice as much as Gemini. And compared to Opus 4.6, it uses 50% more. What does that mean? That in practice, within this same limit, the model became 50% more expensive. He even took a screenshot here showing how he got to this value, but right below there's a comment here saying that actually the model is about 33% more expensive than the previous version. But even so, it's already a pretty high amount, because when they say there that the API price remains the same, in reality that's not true. Because if the model consumes more, automatically you'll use more tokens to perform the same task. Making an analogy here, it's like putting fuel in a Fiat Uno and in a Ferrari. It's the same amount, the same value, but the Ferrari will consume much more. So, it's a trick that Anthropic pulled here, keeping the same price, but the 4.7 is more of a gas guzzler. That's a chronic problem with the Opus family, because it's already known for being a token devourer. Moving on, the graphs below show more results. Dados de avaliação dos nossos testes pre-release in a variety of different domains. In office tasks, which are the ones people use on a daily basis, Opus 4.7 scored 1,753 points, ahead of 4.6, which scored 1,619. When we compare it to GPT 5.4, the result isn't that far off, because the model here from OpenAI scored 1,674. Now, when compared to Gemini 3.1 Pro, then yes, the jump is quite significant. As for vision, here we have a comparison only between Anthropic's models, and 4.7 is also ahead. Document reasoning, same thing. Opus 4.7 with 80.6, Gemini 3.1 Pro with 42.9. Even when compared here with Opus 4.6, which is the previous version, it's much higher. In the field of biology, a pretty significant leap. Opus 4.7 reached 74 points here, and 4.6 got 30.9. So that's quite a lot if we take into account that Opus 4.7 is just an update of 4.6. It's not a new generation of models. Talking here about that discrepancy in the API price. Migrating from Opus 4.6 to Opus 4.7. Opus 4.7 is a direct update from 4.6, but two changes deserve attention because they affect token usage. First, 4.7 uses an updated tokenizer that improves the model's text processing. The trade-off is that the same input can be mapped to more tokens, approximately 1 to 1.3, 5 times more, depending on the type of content. Second, Opus 4.7 processes more data at higher effort levels, especially in later turns in agent-based contexts. This improves its reliability on complex problems, but it means that it produces more output tokens. So, to sum up, Anthropic itself is admitting that 4.7 uses a new tokenizer, and with that, ele gasta mais tokens. The Opus 4.6. So, if you work with the API, be aware, because if you use it a lot, doing several iterations, your tokens will run out quickly. I'll show you in a moment that it really does use up a lot. Now, about people's opinions here, right after the launch. I started to hate Opus 4.7 even before trying it. Anthropic turned the adaptive thinking introduced in 4.6 into a mandatory setting, which means the system now decides if a paying user's prompt is worth thinking about. This is ridiculous, says the user MissMe1973 here. Secondly, the moment Opus 4.7 went live, Opus 4.5 was taken offline when just a second before I was still in the middle of a conversation with it. Moving on here, BridgeMind. Claude Opus 4.7 was launched 2 hours ago and I'm already rate limited. Session usage is at 100%. He pays for the max plan $200 a month new model, same problems. Anthropic released the best model on Bridgebench and you can barely use it. Some things never change. Then World of AI, who's a guy I follow, said the following. After one generation with the new Opus 4.7, he immediately hit the rate limit on the Pro plan. That's it. If you make a single request, you have to stop, because if you don't, if you do a few iterations, your tokens are gone. And for those who want to test it, how do you do it? Well, it's available on OpenRouter, but I'm already warning you that you'll need to have an API key to use it there because it's not free. Take a look here on OpenRouter. Anthropic Claude Opus 4.7. You will pay $1.92 per million tokens for input and $25 per million tokens for output. So stay sharp because even though it's available here on OpenRouter, it's not free. You can also use it on LM Arena to do evaluations in battle mode, in text, vision, code, image, and web dev. However, you can't use it in direct mode. Look, I'm here on LM Arena. If I go into battle mode, then I can put one model against the other. However, here in direct mode, when I go to the selector and type Cloud, notice that 4.7 is not available. So you can't use this new model for free. Where can you access it? On the cloud platform itself here, as long as you have at least a Pro plan, or here on Cloud Code for desktop. So let's go. I'll show you now what I've already managed to create with this new model. Starting here with the online version. First prompt copied here from the internet, I asked it to create a surreal website for me, which turned out really cool, with sound effects and showing a clock that was working in real time. Check out how it turned out. Take a look. Chronos Omnia. I have the sound turned off. Turn on the sound. Then it has a little clock sound here. Notice that I have the hand moving here. Really nice rendering quality here, especially for websites, okay? They improved the model and it really turned out great. So this was that single prompt. I didn't ask for any kind of changes, especially because when you ask for that, your tokens run out really fast. So this here is an example of rendering a website in HTML. I have sound effects here, transitions, moving elements on the site, everything just right the way I asked. Here's another example now. I also asked to create a replica of the Flatbird game. Take a look at how it turned out. He added sound effects without me asking. Again, I'm terrible at this game. Again, hey, but it's cool, right? Really well rendered. I got past the first and second ones, right? Huh? Hey, it's getting good, huh? I died. Cool, right? So, same thing, just one prompt in Brazilian Portuguese here, make a clone of the Flatbird game. That's it, no extra interaction, and it gave me this result here. Cool because there were no bugs, and it gave me the finished game right away, and it wrote it in exactly 550 lines of code. Oh, and one important thing to tell you. When you access Cloud AI via browser and you come here to the models, notice that now I have 4.7, Sonnet 4.6, and Haiku 4.5, and I have a little switch here to enable or disable adaptive reasoning. What is this for? The model itself, Opus 4.7, will determine what level of reasoning it will use depending on the task you ask it to do. This is a double-edged sword. Why? Sometimes you might ask for something simple, and it will think it's something very complicated and use a lot of reasoning to solve it. Consequently, your tokens might run out quickly. Now, if you come here to the desktop version, then there are some possibilities. I'm going to open a new conversation here, go to the model selector, and then I have the options 4.7, 4.6, and Haiku 4.5. And here, yes, I can choose the effort mode. If I want low, medium, high, extra high, and max. Notice that I'm already in the red zone here. In these tests that I'm going to show you now, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prompts here. These other 2 were done another day with other models, and my tokens have already expired. Notice that I'm in the red zone here. Plan 100%, so it's already over. I made prompts here to be tested all at once, meaning I didn't interact at all, asking to fix or improve any kind of code. And with my PRO plan, I was only able to perform 5 tasks. So, what's my tip? If you want to use Claude here, build the base of the project with the lower tier model. Like Sonnet, for example, which is a very capable model and uses much less, so use 4.6 to start this project. And then when it's ready, you can move on to 4.7. That way, you'll be able to polish this project without running out of your tokens, which is what I did here. Let's go now. I made a copy of the macOS system here. Look how it turned out. I have my settings here. I can change the background, so this is working perfectly. The name of my system here is Browser OS version 1.0. I couldn't make any changes because otherwise my tokens would run out quickly. I have a calculator here. Working perfectly. 5 times 5. Cute. Here are the settings I showed you. There's a little bug here because when I click, it opens the same window multiple times. But it's okay, right? Here it is. Look. Games, pictures, trash, home, what else? It opened twice as well. Let's close this. Change the color. There's a color picker here. Perfect. I can draw here. The eraser is working too. Is it saving as PNG? It saves as PNG. So that worked perfectly as well. Then I asked to add 2 little games here in my operating system. The first one is this one, FPS Arena. So let's see if it's running. Oh, pretty cool, right? I can move around here, look. I don't really know how the game works, but it managed to create this for me here. It's a pretty rudimentary little game. It was just to show you guys. I got this prompt from another creator online to test if it worked, and he made this little game. However, the second little game here called GTA Blocker City didn't run, okay? He created the little window here. But unlike FPS Arena, nothing happens here. I'm using all the keys on the keyboard. I thought I didn't know how to use it, but look, it's not working. In the same prompt used earlier by the other creator, he managed to make it work. But he has a max plan. So, the limits, the tokens are much higher. Then he did a few iterations and the little game worked. Since I have the pro plan, it won't work. Then in this other example here, I asked it to create a rendering of a subway station. Check out the result. Look, it turned out really cool, right? I can walk around the station here, move around here, right? So it's doing really well with the rendering. I can look over here. I just can't turn. No, actually I can. With the mouse here I can turn. Look, Union, it made a nice rendering for me here. It looks like Doom from the 90s, but it's cool, right? There's even the train here. Didn't you notice? This is the train, right? And this is the station. So I can move around the station here. I think it turned out really cool. He managed to do it with a single prompt because I didn't even have any more tokens to spend. Then, in this other example here, I wanted to take advantage of the model's multimodal capability. What did I do? I uploaded this image here from the Seinfeld series and asked it to create a rendering based on this image. And this was the result. Look, I can move around here, right? Cool. There are the views here. Look. 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? The visualization of the apartment here. It rendered it nicely, right? Here are the controls. Look, forward, to the side, to the right, backward. I can even turn off the lights here. Look. It says that if I press L here, look, lights on, lights off, lights on, lights off. Another example here, I uploaded a screenshot and asked the following. Make a clone of this site with all the details and related menus. This was the result. Look, it generated this for me, but it didn't render images, right? It put SVGs in their place, but it has the same color palette, the same fonts here. So in this task of taking a screenshot and cloning a site, it did reasonably well. The only thing missing here was the renderings. But for the rest, it managed to do really well. So guys, if you get the chance, give it a try. It's a good model, it's a fast model, it's an evolution of 4.6, but it burns through a lot. Like I mentioned a little while ago, just by doing a few interactions, you run the risk of running out of tokens. It uses up a lot, and that tip I gave you is really worth it. Start your projects with the weaker model, Sonnet 0.6, and from there use Opus. It can be 4.6 or 4.7, just to improve the project created with the weaker model. Otherwise, your tokens will run out quickly, and it's frustrating because we can't fully test this new model. Even with a max plan, a lot of people are complaining that the model uses up much more than the previous version. So, did you test it? Some people think it's only better than 4.6 because Anthropic nerfed that model before launching the new one. So, do you agree? Let me know in the comments, okay? I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. I'm just a man running out of time.